Hello, hello, hello. This is G. What's up, everybody? We're going to go through the January full moon. All right, so this event happens on the 25th of January. All right, full moon, January 25th, 2024. Wow. Going to be a very interesting year, no doubt. So, where is this happening? Well, do you know where the full moon happened last month? Right? The cycles, right? It's a pattern, right? Well, before I even reveal that, and I will get to it, look at the geometry here. Do you see the geometry in this chart? It's pretty wild. We see, I know it might be hard to see on your end, but there's multiple grand trines here. Multiple grand trines. I'm just going to outline one of them. Yeah. And let me clear it because there's a lot of lines that are in between. And there's multiple grand trines, though, because you see the different points here. So there's a top of one right there, the top of one right there, and the top of one right there. See the blue lines? Let me go deep, close up so you can see can you see the blue lines there? See those blue lines? That's the tip of another grand trine, the tip of another one. And when I say the tip, it doesn't mean like the top, because it's a trine, right? So the three sides are equal. But we also see the mystic rectangle line. See the mystic rectangle line right there, going from there to there. See the sextile, right? It's two trines connected by a sextile, mystic rectangle. So this chart, on top of the mystic rectangle, okay, just bear with me. Mine's going to look a little rough, but that's okay. We're going to clear it up. Looks a little rough. And then we have there's a multiple mystic rectangle thing. So this energy is powerful because it sets us up yet again where we can have changes, but there's support. There's like universal support because see this mystic rectangle here. There's another one. Oh God, that one got really crazy. Sorry. So another mystic rectangle there. And then there's even another one. There's multiple ones, right? So we have the multiple trines and we have the multiple mystic rectangles. And many times we get that energetic setup where there's so much supportive energy providing change. It's a strong pattern for dynamic changes, right? Now, full moons are endings. They're the end of a cycle. That is what a full moon represents. Okay? And the question is, what is the cycle that's going to be ending? Well, we're going to explore the sign that it's in and then understanding the full moon itself, like just moon sign, right? The moon is family and emotions and home. It's emotional security. What gives you emotional security? What gives you emotional satisfaction? What do you need and who do you need in your life? But nurturing and your tribe energy. Like who? Right? When we think of people and friends, maybe it's animals, maybe it's the earth itself. Maybe it's having fun and doing something that you did when you were a kid. And maybe there's even going to be some sort of a closure to something that you were, I don't want to say dependent on, but when we're kids, think about this now. I associate a lot of things. I find it most relatable because food is a universal thing, right? Everybody can kind of be like, oh yeah, I got a favorite food, right? Or a favorite drink or something that we all have to have to survive, right? So food, you'll hear me use food as an example. And think about how other people will be, because I just remember like Thanksgiving just passed a week ago. And everybody had these different ideas of, well, they were having this dressing or this stuffing, right? Which is which, right? They had meat in theirs, or they had nuts in theirs, or they had raisins in theirs, right? So everybody had this thing, this idea, this ideal of what was better. Like, oh, I remember my mother's or when I was a kid. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it's downright actually even better, right? It's kind of what you grew up on. So it has to do with your childhood, even because it's the moon. So many times what we grew up doing, right? How our mom nurtured us, or our dad, or our family, our home, what was in our home that made us feel safe. That's moon energy. How do you feel safe, emotionally secure, right? What do you need to feel that? And this full moon likely can have to do with people who could be public figures. It could be people who are performers, maybe even athletic in some way, but possibly gambling and money and entertainment. We think of risk taking. We think of gymnastics. We think of energy where people are performers. So these can be great vocalists too. A matter of fact, just today, there was this little clip. Um, and because I was checking YouTube, when I get my head stuck in my videos between that and my mom, I sometimes forget to check, and I end up, I don't know, I guess I missed some videos, and I'm the only person's channel I watch who's one of my neighbors is boondocking with Dennis. And so I have to go and look and check to make sure I'm not missing something, because many times I don't spend time on YouTube like that, right? To get an alert necessarily. So anyway, all of that is to say, a short video came up. Something came up, and it was a black and white, and I really like the black and white stuff. Not the necessarily let's film in black and white, but the older stuff. There's something about the footage and the culture of that time. And they often talk about, the 30s and the 40s and how those people were like the great generation, right? And they went through 2 world wars, right? The 40s, 30s and 40s. They went through 2 world wars, and there was a lot of sacrifice, even if you weren't someone who went and literally fought. And that has to do with home. A lot of people, a lot of families sacrificed. Everybody sacrificed. It wasn't just the soldiers that had to sacrifice, right? There were women and families who didn't no longer have a brother or a dad or an uncle, right? Women had to then go work in the factories, run the factories. The men were away at war. Like, everyone had to sacrifice. Everybody had to change. And so everybody's homes transformed and changed. So we think of the moon and we think of what gives us that emotional security, and we connect it to a long time ago in the past, things that are from the past. And so getting on to the black and white thing, like what does that have to do with what? It was a clip that showed Judy Garland, and it was, who the hell was that? Judy Garland, dare I say Barbara Streisand? I think it was. It was Judy Garland, and she looked so young, and Barbara Streisand, who looked so young, and I just thought, "Holy shit, I've never seen this." Like, wow, it just caught my eye. And then, the title of the video, and so I clicked on it. It was just a short clip, and sure enough, Ethel Merman came out. And boy, that woman didn't even need a microphone. And so as I watched that video, because the way my brain works, automatically my brain is like, okay, this is Leo, this is Taurus, this is blah, blah, blah. My brain is like, just like figuring it all out already, like what their chart look. That's just how it works, right? That's how things make sense to me. Like, that's my language, literally. So when Ethel, and I've already knew about Ethel Merman. That was kind of what really got my attention on the video, because it said something about no business like show business. And that is Ethel Merman, man. I can hear her belting that song out. And that is Leo energy, a big mouth, but a big voice, right? A performer. You think of the ringmaster, right? Of a circus. Think about that. They got the blowhorn and they've got the spotlight on them, and they're there, right? They know the light's on them and they're okay with it. And if they didn't have that megaphone or whatever, like, that's okay. They know they're all about stage presence, big time stage presence, and all these words. And so we think of childhood. We think of what did we do when we were kids? How did we have fun too is key, and play. Very big words. And so I'm mentioning things like sports and gymnastics. How do you have fun with your body and play? And all these things are like taking a risk with my body, but there's also like romance, mating, dating, relating. Have you guessed yet? Have you been able to guess yet about what I've been saying? Have you been able to guess what sign this full moon is going to be in by the things I'm talking about? Have you been able to figure it out? How about long hair or a good head of hair, right? A big mane, right? Have you ever been able have you figured it out? So we think of children and childhood. What I did when I was a kid for fun. Did I sing? Did I dance? What kind of games did you play? How was home? What was the home life like? And because it's a full moon, it says something the cycle is ending. So, we're going to get into this now. Let's go find it. Full moon in Leo at 5 degrees and 14 minutes. So we'll highlight this whole moon. Yeah, the whole moon, this full moon. We'll highlight her a little bit there. We'll just go blue because I already drew the other one blue. And there it is. The moon in the chart, 5 degrees, 14 minutes. So this means because it's a full moon, we know the sun and the moon always travel opposite of each other. That's what makes a full moon. They have to be opposite of each other in the sky to get a full moon, right? And the moon at 5:14 means we know the sun is going to be at the opposite end in the opposite sign of Leo. The opposite sign of Leo is, I'm listening, Aquarius. Very good. Aquarius. So Aquarius is where the sun is at 5:14. Interesting. So the moon, remember, the moon is feminine energy. It's home, it's family, it's nurturing. It's how you feel emotionally secure, safe, and satisfied. And that changes as we grow, right? But there are some things, that's why I started talking about the food. There are some things it might not even be that good. Matter of fact, one of my housemates was saying something the other day about something one of their parents used to love when they were kids growing up because their grandma or their mom's mom made it or something, or grandpa, whoever. And they said that their parents tried to duplicate it when they, had their own kids. And they said it was the grossest damn thing ever. I swear I can't remember what it was, but I remember them saying it was just ugh. But the one who grew up eating it thought it was just the best thing ever, because we associate those things. They take us back to another time, another place, to people, to people. And that is part of the tribe energy. We are emotionally connected. That's moon energy. That's moon energy. It takes us back and we feel those connections, and they go beyond the logical. It's more about how I am feeling, right? And so full moons are normally a time where energy tends to kind of be a little on the extreme side, because when we're all in our emotions, the brain and the logic tends to kind of take a back seat. So you normally hear the people who work in the emergency services or work with the public that on full moons, they know. They don't even need a calendar. They know when there's full moons. They can always tell. So a full moon in Leo, an ending of something, Leo energy. So Leo energy is fun and playing games and taking risks. It's having a good time. It's laughter. It's comedy, because that's Leo. They're the performers, the stand-ups. Yep, they stand on. And so you see many of them can take a segue and go into acting. And that's why, because Leo energy is a performer. Right. There's a couple of, right? Leo, Pisces can be the performer. I don't know if Pisces can be the performer like Leo can, because Leo has a good sense of humor. They're quick on their feet. Pisces is more sensitive, right? They're more about sound. They're more about music, right? So they might sing and perform. Then I'll take that segue into being the performer. Matter of fact, Ethel Merman's a really good example, because that when she was on that little clip I saw, Judy Garland and Barbara Streisand, and God, I could be wrong, but I remember Judy Garland for sure. But Barbara Streisand was almost kind of like she felt a little uncomfortable, maybe even, because especially when Ethel Merman got there. Ethel Merman is she is a force of nature. She, that woman, just Google her and check it out. She's just She's just a force of nature. And so when someone like that's in your presence, it's kind of like, oh shit, like I feel like I need to step back a few feet. I know I would, absolutely. And it's almost like, so Barbara Streisand was probably more of the musical person, segue into Pisces acting, although I think in that clip she even said she wanted to be an actress. And then somehow getting into performing and being an actress, that's when she started singing. For her, it was more about acting as opposed to singing. However, Ethel Merman, if you go watch that clip or go look up some clips about her, she is a quick talker, a quick thinker, and she's funny. She is quick on her feet, quick on the comebacks. Matter of fact, Judy Garland asked her a question. She said, I've got all my beautiful silver set out and nobody will have any tea. Would you like to have some tea? And Ethel Merman looked at her and said, honey, no, thank you. I'd rather have your silver. It's just, now I get it. These might be writer lines that she's repeating, but it was just funny as hell. And she's just quick. She's very quick. And it fit her. It fit her. Like Barbara Streisand didn't say that, but boy, Ethel Merman sure did. And so Ethel Merman kind of just crashed on the scene and kind of truly took over. Once she got there, it was a very quick segment, by the way. But once she got there, it was like all eyes were on her because she was the entertainer. And it wasn't as though she was trying to hog the spotlight. She kept looking back to both the ladies, and it was like they either were shy or didn't know what to say, or they recognized they were likely around someone who had kind of already been there and done all of that. And she was kind of like the veteran, like, okay, so what are we doing next? Like they were maybe following her lead is how it looked. And that's a lot. All that stuff I just explained is all Leo. Somebody who feels very much so like they are in charge. And so they can arrive on the scene and take charge because these people feel as though they are in charge. The sun is what rules this planet. Or I'm sorry, the sun is what rules the sign of Leo. So when the sun is the ruler, think about the sun. We can't exist without it. Well, the sun knows that. The sun knows you're going to die without its presence, right? So Leo energy, um, there could be some pride involved with. Okay, this is Taffy. Hold on a minute. She's like beating me up on the door. All right. So the Leo energy knows it is the leader. It knows it can take charge and it kind of expects others to follow its lead. Boss energy. These folks feel like they're the boss. Okay. So if there's a full moon and it's the ending of a cycle, then we could even say the end of a boss, possibly. Possibly. Right? Now, the thing is for you in your life, where's this 5 degrees? Do you have anything at 5 degrees? And actually we'll say 3 degrees to 7 degrees to set up the orb. We'll say 3 to 7 degrees. All right, I'll put some marks here. 3 to 7 degrees for the full moon in January. It's in Leo energy. And well, if anybody follows the politics in the United States, you might be able to think of some strong Leo personalities, whether they're actors or politicians, right? Or people who were in power. Remember, the moon is the past, people who were in power at one time, because moon energy is the past. So there might be, who knows? Is it a passing of the torch? I don't know. I just know that this is a pattern that is ending, and it's at this degree, 514. Now, because Leo and because because the sun rules Leo, the sun rules this full moon. The sun rules it. So at the beginning of the video, I said, where is the sun? We know that the sun is going to be right at the opposite of this full moon, which tells us that the sun is going to be in Aquarius. Right? Right. If the sun is in Aquarius, that tells us about who or what is ending. You see? Those are more details you can add to this. So in your chart, that's what you're looking up. 5 degrees of Leo, 5 degrees of Aquarius. Okay. And even if you don't have anything at those degrees, look to see what house they're in, because regardless of whether you have something there personally in your chart, the sun and the moon will still be there by transits, by up in the sky. Like that's just the natural the cycle. It's just where they're going to be. We can't change that. But based on the kind of charts that I draw up, you could have something there and not know it, because look at how many things I draw up in my charts. A whole buttload of stuff. There could be something that's there that you're not even aware of. So here's the opposite end, Aquarius. And I'm going to spend some time talking about Aquarius because the sun is there and we got to talk about the sign that the sun is in. Aquarius is group energy. It's friends. It's friends. It's also online groups, online chats. This can be platforms, social platforms, some of those online platforms where people gather. Group energy, group communication, digital group communications. We think of inventions, we think of science and technology, individual power, independence, our individual liberties, our uniqueness, our identity, even, right? Because that's one of the cool things about Leo energy is, you remember how I described Ethel Merman? How she had such a stage presence, right? And she just kind of took charge, and even maybe a bit of pride involved, possibly, may not specifically to her, because she didn't seem prideful. She kept trying to get the other two to be a little bit more comfortable and to kind of follow along, because you could tell, even though they didn't physically step back from her, you could tell they were like, okay. So either it wasn't planned and she just sporadically showed up, which is what she said. But anyway, if you watch the clip, you'll know what I'm talking about. When I saw it today, I thought, this is this Leo stuff. It's big time and it makes sense. And so friends and group energy. And Aquarius, there's a lot of keywords for Aquarius: science and inventions. So things that aren't even invented yet, but we think of literally the internet. But it's also large appliances, but even bigger, literally the airplanes, the spaceships, right? So some would say, like, think of mass transportation. How about that? So maybe not necessarily a spaceship that only holds a couple of people, but I don't know, we think of the space station, right? Something where there's a community of people that go there, even though they're trading off the times that they spend there, the different countries. Yes, Taffy. But Aquarius energy makes that happen. It's the scientists that put their heads together, and the countries that puts their head together to keep that thing functioning. Right. All for the sake of science and for learning. So the other thing is to remember the rulers of this. That's important. What are the planets? And that's how we get more keywords. That's how we understand more meanings, how we can pull more meaning out of this. So Saturn is the ancient ruler. That's the rules. That's the structure, the order, the rules, somebody who can set the rules. And then we also have Uranus. Well, Uranus tends to be shocks and surprises. It can be an authority figure, even, right? Like, holy shit, no way. Are you serious? Like, there can be a shock and a surprise. Uranus energy being very strong, being unpredictable energy. The other thing about Aquarius energy and Uranus is, because it's unpredictable, it can be, I'm acting and rebelling and being extreme just for the sake of being extreme and rebelling against the rules. Saturn. It's interesting. Saturn is the ancient ruler here. Uranus is so different from Saturn. This is the rules, though. This is the order. This is the structure. This is, we're building for long term. This one's like, but I don't want to go and do the same old, same old. I want different. I am going to be different. I'm not going to do what you do. I literally am going to be different. That is Uranus energy. It says, I go against the status quo. I break tradition. I'm not gonna follow along. I am the rebel. I know my Uranus looks really sad, but that's Uranus energy. It really does upset the status quo. It really does say, "There's no way I'm gonna do what we've always done. I buck tradition. There's just no way you can get me to do that because I will not do it. I will not do it, damn it." It feels deeply, like in the very core of its being, that its very existence is to be creative and to do something that hasn't been done before. You see? To do something that hasn't been done before. Now, I will say that this energy is about ideas. Ideas. It is about intellect and the higher mind. So I think the other piece we have to focus on, okay, I got this kitty cat trying to chow down on my hair. The other piece to focus on and to remember too, what are you looking for? Is that an authority figure for sure, with Uranus and Saturn co-ruling the sign. These are authority figures. These are people who are in charge. People who are in charge. So there might be something we're hearing in the news, or maybe you're even possibly a boss at work, or because Leo energy is performers and politicians, we might be hearing something along those lines, or even sports figures, or yeah, I just performers, I'll just leave it at that because that can run the gamut from comedy to music to theater to the stage and screen, to gymnastics. Like Leo energy is it kind of just can do both. It encompasses a lot of that very physical Aryan energy, but it does it in a very colorful way. So a very colorful personality, colorful when they're talking, when they're thinking and speaking and acting, and the way they sound. They come off something so unique about them, right? And the thing is Uranus energy is big on that. It says, be different, be courageous, and be different. That is Uranus energy. But the ending is in Leo, but it is connected to this sun that's connected to friends, that's connected to mass transportation and inventions of some sort. Okay. And there could be a surprise involved. The other thing we're going to quickly touch on is Pluto. You see Pluto? Pluto is now in Aquarius, and it's at 0 degrees and 9 minutes. I'm going to have, if you already haven't seen the video, there's a separate video on Pluto and what does Pluto do? What does it act? What does it think? How does it show up in Aquarius energy? Because we're going to have Pluto in Aquarius for almost all of 2024. Almost all of 2024. It has to go back into Capricorn. It will retrograde back into Capricorn, right? And then it'll come back into Aquarius, and then there it will stay for 20 years. So this is a journey we're on together, folks. But there's that new energy out there, man, different and going against the grain, and it almost feels like people rebelling just for the sake of rebelling, right? Pluto in Aquarius, Aquarius being the intellect. Keep that in mind. It's just not about, you know, being able to talk about what you or I have gone through or where we've been, because it is about that, because we have to be brave enough to, my experience is different than your experience. And so a bit of my uniqueness, right? My authenticity, Aquarius, Uranus word, my authenticity and who I am, what makes me up who I am is my experiences, right? And so the understanding of how that's going to change. How is it going to transform and evolve? How are we going to heal? How are we going to heal? What sort of changing, transformation, healing is going to occur, right? Power to the people, and hopefully changing and transforming our lives to something where people are not living paycheck to paycheck, where people can literally afford to buy a home and have babies and be able to feed them and clothe them and have a house, a roof over their head, right? So we'll go deeper on the Pluto video. Go watch it if you haven't seen it, because we are elevating our brains, the neurons, the neural pathways in our brains. We are being shown. We are being shown that what we think, we think we can just go to the digital playground and find the truth there. And we have to learn how to be like the scientists, and we have to understand that the truth can often not be beautiful. It can often even be sad. But we have to be willing to have an open mind and experiment and test. And I'm not saying like have experiment on human beings when I say that. So don't go there. That's not what I'm saying. But we have to be willing to test the waters and to see if there's truth in something somebody is saying. This full moon, for some folks, can be a closure and an ending that they will see show up in their life. And this is Leo energy. Maybe something fun that you did as a child, maybe something you did that gave you emotional security and satisfaction. Hell, this could even possibly be a kitty cat in your life, right? Cat energy. You know how cats play, like Taffy, she'll just lay on the ground and play with her damn tail. She'll lay on the ground and play with the wall. Like if Zoe doesn't feel like playing, Taffy will find things to play with, right? To entertain herself even. And so Leo energy just wants to have fun. So there might be a little growing up that happens, because if we're releasing and letting go something from childhood, the moon, something from way back, something we used to think was fun, there could be something we're releasing. Could it be a social platform perhaps? Absolutely. So with that, ask your questions, leave them in the comments below, and we'll do a part 2 if we need to. I hope that you are enjoying the new year. And if you are still with me, know that I appreciate your time. I truly do. Thank you very much. And I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.